There is about 1.8 million jobs in Sri Lanka are under the blast radius because of AI.
Just in Sri Lanka.
Just in Sri Lanka. We have gone into a state where, mindlessly we have started using these. How many times have you lost interest in a content which you think that is generated out of AI? Christmas is coming. Two different moments in time. One is Mariah Carey's song, All I Want for Christmas. That starts trending. That's number one.
Every year it happens.
Every year it happens. And then people, all the digital marketers, they post about, oops, Mariah Carey is defrosting. And then the second one is Coca-Cola comes up with their Christmas commercial.
Campaign.
So emotional, people love it. What has happened in the past few years, they have come up with this commercial using AI. And then there has been a certain fraction of consumers who haven't really liked it. There is too much AI. I want the real commercial. I want the Coca-Cola truck going on the road and then with snow and then all of that. That's what really gives me the feel. Okay, now I need the real thing back. That's the point that you'll fall behind.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Shamil Hasimdin, and we have a great guest today, one of my lecturers too, Mr. Chamaka. On a different atmosphere and a different environment, usually I see him as a lecturer in my classroom, but today we are here at the podcast studio. Hi Mr. Chamaka, how are you doing?
Hi, Shamil. Thank you for the warm welcome. And then, true enough, we meet at a very different environment than this. But today we are meeting under the lights in front of a bit of an audience. Great to be here.
I think it's going to be an interesting show, so let's see how it goes. Before we start off with the interview, I think let's go with a rapid, quick fire round so that will break
Are you
the
going to
ice.
put me in trouble?
So it's going to be a quick rapid fire questions so that I think that's good to...
See, these are the type of things that I do usually in class for you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, but now I get my same
So I've
medicine
got a
back.
chance to give that back to Mr. Chamaka. So yeah, I'll start with the first rapid question. Old school notebooks or tablet?
Oof, I think that answer never gets any easier than that. You can see the table over here, always notebooks. Old
We
school.
have the old school notebook on the table here.
Of course.
Next question. One tech tool you can't live without for 24 hours?
Oh, great question. I think the people who associate with me know that I always carry my laptop around. And then you can see that over there. And then I carry it for work. I carry it for my lectures. Wherever I go, I have it. And don't think I can live without that.
Laptop එක නැතුව මට බෑ.
පොඩ්ඩක් අමාරුයි.
All right. Hardest qualification you ever worked hard to get for?
Okay. Working through multiple qualifications, I have a bit of a different approach to this question. I think rather than a qualification, it's the self-learning and then the continuous learning, which has always been the hardest as well as the most rewarding.
Mainly it's the self-learning. No?
Yep.
Final question.
Okay.
In 2030, will humans be working more hours or few hours?
Ooh. Tricky one. I think by the looks of it, by how things are going, I know many wouldn't agree with me on this one, but I think humans would end up working a little bit harder.
Even with AI?
I mean, going into the context of this, you're using AI on a day-to-day basis at work, right? But if the time that you have to spend to get a task done, even with the expectations that AI has put upon us, with all of those stacking on top of us, what has happened to you personally? I think because of those expectations, you were required to work hard, isn't it? So I think it's a bit of a different way of thinking about it. But I honestly don't know, to be honest. I mean, things are changing pretty fast, things are changing pretty rapidly, and then, I mean, how fast things have changed over the past 3 years, isn't it, when you really look back at it? But I think there will be more demands, and then there will be more expectations which will be put up on human beings, and then that will make us work harder, I believe.
Yeah. And it's not like before, like even for content creators, also for graphic designers, now the competition is really tough with AI for them when they go on for doing their works and stuff. So I think, yeah, they are going to
Yeah,
have a tough
different
time in
way
the
of
future.
thinking about it, I guess.
So since we have some viewers, we are two new faces for them. So I think we'll start with a small introduction. Mr. Chamaka, in just few words, who is Chamaka Ranasinghe?
Chamaka Ranasinghe is an IT product management professional and an educator. That's how I define myself. So basically, been in IT for about a good 7 years right now. And then in addition to that one, I've always been passionate about sharing my knowledge with individuals and talking to people, helping people out, and then helping people to grow, if I would put it that way. So yeah, bottom line is an IT product management professional and an educator.
I remember seeing you in school as a Aya and in front of us as a lecturer today. So proud to see you
Thank you
on
so
how
much,
you have
Shamil. Thank
carried
you
up
so
with your
much.
career. Sir. And next question. We have collected a lot of academic and professional qualifications. Was this your master plan, or you were just doing this out of curiosity, having so many qualifications?
Okay. Um, First things first, I wouldn't say so many, uh, in contrary to what you mentioned, but then again, in terms of the qualifications that I worked hard to get, from the younger days, I had some objectives, and then my initial sort of qualifications, what I wanted to get, like my bachelor's, and then so on and so forth. Like as a very young individual in school, you have dreams, right? And then when you think about that, kind of like it was in alignment with sort of what I was thinking when I was quite young. So my first degree, I would say, yes, that is something that I wanted to do at some point in life. But thereon in, it was a constant case of discovery. Like when you go into university, you start seeing the world,
Mm.
and then you start getting
That's where you see the
engaged
real
with
world when you come
people.
out of school.
Yeah, you start seeing the world, and then I mean, if you're lucky enough, you get to work with some individuals as well. You see, I mean, you get more context, and then with that context, kind of like your world changes also, right? And then because of that, you start seeing the realities, and then you sometimes like really find certain passions that you really never knew that existed in you.
I think most of the people like
Yeah.
they start with something and then in between in what they do they understand no this is not my thing but I think I am good in that and that's where they understand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you really want to get into it to really feel the
Feel it and
emotion of it,
understand.
right? So, I mean, that's what happened to me. So when I was lucky enough to be engaged, and then when I was lucky enough to kind of like talk to these amazing individuals, like work with these amazing individuals, I mean, my perspective changed in certain things, and then that one thing led to another, and then I got into some professional qualifications, and then did my masters. Yeah, that's how it went.
I think we have to start from somewhere so that you will end up somewhere one day definitely.
Pretty much, I would say.
And also, you say everyone is using technology, but a very few understands it. Is tech becoming a short culture that's actually making us lazier?
Great question. I mean, as an individual, I mean, as a person, I mean, who has I mean, we have interacted in multiple different arenas up until this point, right, Shami? So, what are your thoughts about it? Does it make you lazy? What do you think?
I think s- I think at a time, yes. Like those days, for example, if I'm doing a video for a if I'm doing like a content creator video or something,
Mm.
those days I used to write the script on my own. But now with the AI, ChatGPT and all, we are able to generate a script basically. But and I think we are losing our human touch also with that, and we are like
Mm.
getting into that structure. So with that, we are not brainstorming, right? So I think we are heading there.
Yeah, because even I would agree on some of the points that you mentioned over there. Because I think, I mean, it has only been about what 2022 mid that we got this whole revolution, LLMs coming in, and then all of that. LLMs have been in existence for some time, right? It has been there, but it's basically all of these things started coming into the vicinity, and then it started being accessible after OpenAI came up with ChatGPT, and then that's what really blew up. And then that's when we all realized that, okay, so here's a tool that I can use on a day to day basis. I mean, here's a tool that I can use to write my emails. Here's a tool that I can write the scripts that you're talking about. That's when it really kind of like became close to human beings, I would say. But it has been in existence in some forms, like if you talk about tools such as Grammarly, right, Sonic. Have you heard about these tools?
Yes.
Yeah,
So I
right?
think even these platforms are understanding the human behavior and how we talk and how we express, and they are also
Yes.
adapting to our language.
Yeah, exactly. So it has been there, and then ChatGPT really kind of like changed the game, and then people started discovering. And then what really happened is that people realized that, okay, so why would I burn my brain cells to write this email? I would just get ChatGPT to write it, right? That's what happened, right? And then in that process, there was this research that was done by MIT. I was actually talking about this one in my own socials as well at one point, right? So, what they have found is that the cognitive ability to think, to critically evaluate, and then to kind of like come up with your own ideas have degraded as a result of it, right? So that's what has happened. I mean, this is according to the MIT research. And the bottom line is that it's just a case of overuse, Shamil, what I would believe. I don't know whether I'm 100% right, but it's just a case of, I mean, for everything now we are using it. I think that's the problem. I think we have gone into a state where, I mean, mindlessly we have started using these. And then that has really kind of like has a negative impact. That's why I think framing your question, that's probably why it says that, I mean these AI tools have made people lazy. It's the way we use it, I guess.
And I remember an incident. I had to host an event. This was like few minutes back.
Okay.
I'm getting a call saying that you have to host this event and you have to mix English and Sinhala
Oh,
and
okay.
just speak out loud, Kela.
Uh-huh.
So then now I have my English
Okay.
script with me, but I am unable to translate to Sinhala at the
Oh,
moment. So what I put it on ChatGPT and I got a structure, and then that Sinhala was Suddha Sinhala. So speaking that out, and then I was able to turn it to Singlish also, but it
okay.
was somehow it came out really well.
Oh, right. Okay.
That was a
Okay.
good experience I had when it comes
Yeah,
to the
memorable
AI language.
experience related to an AI. Oh, good, good, good.
And then, is technology replacing professionals, or is it just exposing the average ones who haven't updated their skills?
Mm, good one, I guess. I think it kind of like stems back into the discussion that we had a little while earlier. I think we were talking about, okay, people getting lazy and then people not really utilizing their cognitive abilities when they are using the AI tool. And then I mentioned the fact that it's not about using the AI tool, it's about how you
How?
use the AI tool. So something that even research has shown, and then I don't really think that even a rational person really want to go into research. Like when you just when you just associate with people in a classroom, or when you associate with people at work, right? So when you observe individuals, one thing that you can really notice is that the individuals who have been using these tech tools for their advantage, and then who has been using their mind as well as the tool as a combination, seems like they have really stepped up in the ladder. And then what has really happened is that, those are the individuals who have really gotten the real benefit out of these AI tools. And then also, it has helped them with their career, and then it has helped them with their academics, right? It's all about how they have used it, right? So, and then you get the other end of the spectrum. Those are the individuals whom, like we discussed earlier, who would just put down a prompt, just get their emails done, or just put down a requirement, just generate something, and then just blindly copy paste that and then send it across to someone. You get either end of the spectrum. I think what these tools have done is that, according to my opinion, is that it has kind of like, now we have people who are at either end of the spectrum, and then it is very saturated right now, right? So there's no middle ground. And then there are people who, there's this very little amount of people who really use AI with their thinking, with their brains. And then you have a set of individuals who use these tools completely mindlessly.
Because there's more you can do with AI.
There's more that you can do, but the bottom line is that, you really, in the form that it is right now, you really need to use your human brain to get the best results out of it. Because even the AI tools right now, last night I was using Google Gemini, and then I was using some of the multimodal outputs just to generate a few content. And then, the AI itself kind of like gives you an indication saying that, okay, evaluate the content that you see in this output. The tool itself tells you, right? But the problem with us human beings is that some of us don't really do that, right? So if we ask the tool to write our email, we would just blindly just Control C, Control V into our email, just send it across. No fact check, no information checking, no
They don't even
nothing
read it
whatsoever.
once.
They don't even read it, right? Trust me, they
At
don't
least if you
even
go
read
through
it.
that once, you can.
Trust me, they don't
And
read it.
They copy paste with the dash.
And
in
then the
beginning.
funny thing is that sometimes you see emails with the prompt at the top.
Sometimes with the commas, with the emojis.
Yes, exactly. And then, I think that's the real problem. I think you really need to evaluate. And then I think, even the people who are viewing this, you would know if you are guilty with this. And I think that's the difference. Like, the bottom line is that, just like, there's this saying which says, the wealthier will get wealthy, and then the poor will get poorer. I think if you apply this into the current technological sphere, I think that applies into this context as well. Like, the good will get better, and then the bad would get worse. So it's really about how you use it at the end of the day. That's my 2 cents.
And just for my understanding, now recently I saw Google Gemini is advertising at the ICC World Cup. They are a sponsor, and so
You
in
saw the
terms of-
Ravi Shastri's video, did you?
no,
Oh, you should watch that. That was amazing.
Okay. So in terms of advertising, so what's your perspective about AI starting advertising on all these platforms, even the advertising on TV also? So do they actually have to go to that extent, or what are your concerns about that?
So you're talking about TV advertisements and then billboard ads and then stuff like that, right? So I was very curious as to how these things were panning out since these multimodal outputs started becoming quite popular among the users. So basically, when you talk about these TV ads and then all of these digital ads and then everything, it started as a journey, right? Can you remember Mid Journey?
Hmm.
Yeah. How do you remember it as? Mid Journey.
Oh, well,
So Mid Journey back in 2022,
Hmm.
how it like came up was that you could use it on Discord, right? So Discord is like Slack. It's similar to Slack. It's a bit like Microsoft Teams for people who are more familiar with those tools. So Midjourney, if you want to use Midjourney, you wanted to go to Discord, and then at the initial point, you could create art with it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you could create art with it. And then it was a revelation. I mean, people couldn't even believe it. I mean, you give a prompt saying that, okay, so just come up with uh, a man with a hat and then with blue jeans and then a black shirt, so on and so forth. It will give you some options and then you can refine that image. It could come up with art, and then people were generating art from it. And then after a few months, then we all notice commercials which are coming out. I mean, one of the most popular ones, if you can you remember this advertisement which Coca-Cola came up?
Which one?
Yeah, good question. Which one?
They have so
Because
many.
they have come up with so many right now.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the very first things that they have come up with, right? So it was about this individual in an art gallery, and then it revolved around that. And then people were in awe, right? So people were so surprised to see this, and it was something mind blowing, right? I mean, even for us,
Even
when
then,
it came in new, I mean, we were just wondering, okay, video production is no more. And then everything is going to be AI, commercials are going to be AI, and then we wouldn't need these big budgets for video production and then things like that. Were you worried as well?
yes, of course.
Okay. So that's what happened, right? And then it all came, and then at that point, it was very kind of like surprising for human beings, and then all of that. And then after about 2.5 years later, in 2026, what do you really see now, right? So when you think about now in the same brand, Coca-Cola, I mean, Coca-Cola is an amazing brand. I mean, we both would agree with that. Superb, and then I mean, they were the ones. Um, they were the ones who have introduced Santa Claus.
Especially, I think in that case, winter was a season where their drinks don't sell, right? Those days, and they actually bought that season into a time where they have their more sales.
The red,
December, the red
fluffy
fluffy
Santa
Santa
Claus that we know right now during Christmas.
before
Apparently, it was
was
Coca-Cola who has come up with that image
color
that
because
we
we was
both
green before,
know.
no? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're the ones who have come up with it. And I mean, they were so good. Over a century, I mean, you name a campaign, it really stuck in human mind. But you know what happened back in 2024 and then 2025, right? So in the world, right? So there are two things that people really relate to, and then there are two incidents which people really relate to. which individuals, consumers kind of like understand, okay, Christmas is coming, right? Two different moments in time. Can you recall them? Do you have any idea as to what they are? One is Mariah Carey's song, All I Want for Christmas,
Christmas is You.
that starts trending. That's number
That
one.
every year it happens.
Every year it happens. And then people, I mean, all the digital marketers, they post about, oops, Mariah Carey is defrosting. Yeah. And then the second one is Coca-Cola comes up with their Christmas commercial, right? Christmas campaign. So emotional, people love it, right? So it's so amazing that people have resonated with it so much that people really love it.
Somehow they'll touch the hearts of the people.
Yeah, and then what has happened in the past few years is that they have come up with this commercial using AI. And then there has been a certain fraction of consumers who haven't really liked it. Because their comment is that, okay, there is too much AI.
Doesn't look real.
I want the real commercial, right? I want that the Coca-Cola truck going on the road, and then with snow and then all of that. That's what really gives me the feel, right? It has come down to that now, right? It didn't take too long, right? It has only taken about 2.5 hours, right? To go from, all right, this is amazing, into, okay, now I need the real thing back.
Because we thought, no, when AI came into play, that everything is going to change just like that. But now when there are AI contents outside, people don't actually like it, or they don't want to go forward with it. They want the original content back.
You go into social media, and then I'm sure that you will have these like 30 minutes or 1 hour where you don't have anything to do. You
Scroll down.
right, and then in those doom scrolling sessions, how many times have you lost interest in a content which you think that is generated out of AI? Right? Kind of like creeping into your mind right now, right? So you kind of like think to yourself, okay, is this even real? Do I really need to give too much focus on that one?
Aunties and uncles and our grandparents who get caught to those AI videos where the cat does something weird and
Oh yes. That is coming, right? So I think it's not that the AI generated content is bad or something like that. It's just about, I mean, does it really resonate with the person? I mean, is that made in a way that it resonates with a human being? I think that's the problem. It's not that the AI content is bad. It's just the fact that, okay, so does it really, I mean, does people really like it, or does it really moves the needle? I think that's the case. But now, I mean, what I feel like what it has done is that it has kind of like brought in this idea, and then it has brought in this thinking of people that, okay, I really need to see a bit of human in this content, right? I don't want the content that I'm seeing to be all too perfect, right? The camera can be shaking. There can be a bit of mistakes in the video, right? I would like that, right? I mean, it's something that would resonate with some. I do not really want the content to be all too perfect. Don't you think?
At the end, they have something to criticize about also, no? Then
Yeah, that's also part of the story. And then I think people are really finding something human about it. I think that's where we are. I think we went into a bit of a long discussion on that one, but I hope that that's fruitful.
Yeah. And also, Mr. Chamaka, as a lecturer, be honest, are universities moving too slow to keep up with how fast technology is changing?
Great question. I feel like, I mean, from an educator's perspective, from the engagements that I have, it's basically, I think the majority of our universities are actually doing a good job in terms of keeping up, bringing all those new content in, and then so on and so forth. Because in my case, I'm involved with both sides of the equation in terms of the state universities as well as the private sector.
Even state universities, we have the improvement. No?
We do have, I mean, that's something that people kind of like overlook, I guess. Okay, so are they really keeping up, so on and so forth? It's a fine line, I would say, right? So there are places where it lags, right? There are places where it kind of like is falling behind. I'm not saying that it's a no, but greatly there is this whole effort, and then there is this whole focus to align the learning and then to align the education into the new world, into what is coming, right? So basically, these concepts such as AI, machine learning, and then the understanding about these concepts are coming into the syllabuses, even the professional qualifications in both sectors. So there is definitely there is effort, but the only problem that I see is that we don't know where this would end or whether the innovation would end at all. Don't you think, right? So it's changing quite rapidly, right?
Something
So
is being introduced every month.
every day. And then when you think about, I mean, last December, and then when you use some of these AI tools, and then when you use it in this month,
There's new options.
so many changes, and then how do you really keep up with it? I think what the qualifications, what they're trying to do right now is basically to find that ground where they think about what are the kind of skills that one needs to have in order to kind of like exist in an environment regardless of whatever the tool that you are using. So I think that's what the qualifications are doing right now. So yeah, but Shamil, I'll tell you one thing. The bottom line is that the responsibility will always be upon the learner. True. Right? So we always have these two sides, the two sides of the coin. You have the formal education, you have the informal side of things, right? You have the things that you learn from your universities, you have the things that you really need to learn by yourself.
Self.
Yeah. So I think some of the good qualifications, what they really drive you to do is that drive that self-learning, to drive that self-discovery. And then just think to your own learning journey. I mean, what are the things that you remember most? I mean, I might be cutting myself over here, but then again, if I ask this question, what are the things that you remember the most? Are those the ones that are really taught in the class, or are those the ones that you really discovered by yourself?
Most of the time, I think when we stay in the class, we understand the subjects and take notes, and then mainly we have to study on our own and understand. But then there are situations where we bring in practical situations of that relevant subject, and which
You
will
have
be
to do
more
a lot
easier for
of
us to
work on
understand.
yourself, right? And
Yeah.
then that kind of like, I mean, it stays with you, right? I know that in your answer you are being diplomatic, but then again, I mean, that's the real deal, right? So I think the qualifications and then the educators who really push you to kind of like go through, and then education is, I mean, learning is uncomfortable. I mean, that's what learning is. And then if they really put you through that, and then if you really go through that, and then if you come out of it, I think you would be benefited. So
That's why the lecturer always say, so next week we have this topic, do some research and come.
you're correct in that. So basically, I think the bottom line is that the qualifications are evolving. But the bottom line is that from an educator's perspective as well as from a learner's perspective, there will always be something, there's always be a homework that will have to be done. So that's my 2 cents about it.
So, sir, should basic technology literacy like data and AI be mandatory for every student, regardless what they are studying?
I think the way things are going right now, um, technology is becoming mandatory, and then it has been mandatory for a good number of years right now. That's what I would think, because um, certain countries and then certain geographies, and so certain places that we study, um, some countries may have been a little ahead than the rest in this regard, right? So you have a lot of technology integrated into learning, and then going beyond the classroom, when you go into the things that you do, be it you are doing a job, be it you are an entrepreneur or whatnot, uh, it just goes without saying that you can't live without technology. So being ready for that is definitely something that you need to have. But then again, during your learning journey, it's always good to have a mix of both.
That's correct.
Because I'll tell you why. The World Economic Forum, I'm pretty sure that you have seen this report doing its round through social media. I'm pretty sure that at one point you have come across this one either on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or wherever. Their report has identified that there are these top 10, top 20 skills that they kind of like come up with their research saying that, okay, next 5 years, these are the skills that will be in high demand.
High demand.
And these are the skills that you need to get ready for, and then all of that. And then one thing that you see for the past 5 to 10 years, quite consistently, are the skills such as critical thinking, and then the ability to navigate through technology. So these are the things that you see. Right?
And I
So
think engineering is also one among them.
been somewhere there, right? So it's about the discipline of which side of engineering it's there. So it's always good to kind of like keep an eye on these research that are coming out, right? So I can't be saying one thing because
It can change.
each year this report gets evolved. So always good to be in the vicinity of that. And then I'm just talking about some of the skills that has been consistent over the past 5 to 10 years. So these are the skills that we will need to have, I believe, and then these are the skills that will be in high demand as well, regardless of what you do, right? Whether you're a marketer or a finance professional or whatnot, or you are in IT.
So in this situation, is 1 degree enough anymore? Or is that a dangerous mindset to have in 2026?
Great question. I think there is this mindset when it comes to Sri Lanka and then us as Sri Lankans that, okay, when you come out of school, one qualification is really not going to cut it, right? You need to be multi-qualified, and then you really need to be qualified in multiple different areas, so on and so forth, right? So that's something that like people kind of like are so confused about right out of school. And then even in their mid-20s, early 20s, so on and so forth, is a question I get asked quite a lot as well, to be very honest. My answer to that one is basically having multiple qualifications, if you really want to, in multiple disciplines, it is good. It's amazing if you can have it. It really depends on how you use it, right? Whether you have the qualification, and then whether you're not using any of the skills that you have gotten from that qualification, don't do it, right?
Wasting time.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, not just the time, you're putting up a decent investment behind it as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly.
I talk about this all the time in class, if you remember.
Yes.
So, if you are putting down an investment, and then if you are putting down your time commitment, I mean, you really need to go deep into it, and then you really need to get the skills from it and then apply it, in whatever that you're doing. Can be anything that you're doing, right? You can be an entrepreneur, you can be a banker or whatnot, right? Learn, apply. So if you apply, then definitely yes, it will pay dividends.
So you talk about skill stacking. How does combining technical skills with human expertise create a competitive advantage?
Technical skills and human skills, right? Let me put it this way. Now, we were talking about technology, we were talking about all these AI and then things like that, right? So now in 2026, we are talking so much about AI, right? Back in 2016, 17, 18, we were talking so much about data science, right? Every, every time zone or every kind of like time period, we will always get these kinds of things popping up, and then we'll be so focused on it. But what I would say is that, with how things are going right now, things could change, but how things are going right now with so much of technology coming in, and then we are so dependent on technology, there will be certain human skills that really, really would cut it for you. I'll take an example to kind of like explain this a little bit further. How often do you work with vendors, Shamil?
We work often because we are into events as well. At
Okay.
the place where I work.
You do work with a lot of vendors, right? I'll take a example which is quite common when you work with vendors, right? Imagine that there was a certain SLA breach, or if there is, there's a delay, or there is some kind of like, something happens, right, which really puts your project in jeopardy. What would you feel?
Very bad because it has to be very properly organized, and because we at the end it's our image which goes out, so the output has to be really good.
For the lack of a better word, you would be mad,
Definitely.
right? And then what would you do with the vendor? The first thing that you would do?
We'll not work with them again, and I think definitely the payment will also be on hold.
You probably get in touch with them, right? Yeah, and then you probably would want to connect with the guy, right? You probably want to call the guy,
Regarding first.
and then you would want to engage with the guy, right? Why? Because we are human at the end of the day, right? So we want to work with people, right? And then sometimes, like if you have a good conversation with the person, and then if you have a real good conversation with the individual, sometimes after the conversation, you probably come out with a change of mind.
True. That has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just think about it. I think.
But if it was a system, I think
can
that will
an
not happen.
AI agent do that in its present state? Probably that empathetic conversation or listening to you, so on and so forth, it might not be the same, right? So it would be there, but
Yeah.
would it be the same? We don't know. So this is where the human skill would really, really come in, right? So there would be certain areas where it would require that human emotion, right? So it would require that person who would understand the other person, empathy, right? So that's
Even when it comes to customer service also, like although we have in all the languages, but even in those languages there are the way you speak and the type of the slang you use, so those things really come from human.
it would really resonate with you, right? And then, if you talk in a language, if you talk in a style, or, how do we resonate with each other? Before this conversation started, we were having a good chat about sales, and then we were talking about some memories back in school.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about some memories back in university.
College.
We resonate with each other, right? So, that's the way that we connect.
Yeah.
Can we really do that
With an
with an AI
AI
system? Right. I think that's where it really kind of like makes a difference. So I think these are the things that will kind of like come into the future as well. I mean, all of us are scared that, okay, so AI boom is happening and then we are going to lose our jobs and all of that going through. True enough, I mean, there is a recent research which says that there is about 1.8 million jobs in Sri Lanka are under the blast radius because of AI,
Just in Sri Lanka.
just in Sri Lanka. So 1.8 million is quite significant, right? So when you think about that, the risk is there. But I mean, in the normalization stage, what could happen is that instead of those technical roles and then those things that require like a lot of repetition of work and then things like that, those things could get replaced by more more requirements where you need human empathy, where you need more human interaction, and then things like that, right? So that could happen. I'm not saying that it will happen because I don't think it's justified for you or for me to kind of like concretely stamp in this podcast and then they say that
Yeah.
next 5 years is going to be like
Be
this.
like this.
The truth is, we don't know. We would never know.
Let's wait and watch.
Yeah. So basically, what we see is that, and then when you think about the technical and then the human side of things, I think that's where the balance would shift.
And also, sir, how do you manage so many different interests and keep learning without burning out?
Great question. Thinking about interests, I think two things, right? So one thing is about, I think this is something that I heard from an individual called Simon Sinek. Have you heard about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably you would have seen him all over
his
social
videos
media, right?
and
So he's a pretty
even I think for our lectures also, it has been used as an example. his
yeah. So
videos.
he's a pretty hard individual to miss. So one thing he talks about is that I mean, if something is really burning out, it kind of like talks about the real willingness or the interest that you have towards that subject or that area, right? So it's about whether you really want to do that or not. And then if you're really kind of like putting in the hours, and then if you're not, I mean, if you really don't want to get stressed about something, it's something that you really need to enjoy by heart, and then you need to have passion towards it.
If you have the passion towards it, like you'll somehow do it and
You figure out a way. So that's what he says. I think that kind of like resonated with me as well. So what I also feel is that I mean, if you have that burning passion and then that need within yourself, right? Not because somebody tells you to do it, but it's because that you want to do it, and then there's always a greater reason than yourself to do it. That will really kind of like burn a fire behind you, and then that will keep you going. And then to extend that into the thing that I mean, you mentioned multiple interests, right?
yeah.
I mean, one thing that having multiple interests would actually help you with is that I mean, you become a bit of a rounded person,
All round.
right? And then it will help you with so many things, right? I would kind of like put it this way, right? So if you kind of like go into a phase where you say, for example, you're really finding certain area tough, or you're having a hard time, or something like that, there would be enough and more areas which will balance you out. And so there are avenues that you can walk in, which will calm you down, which will help you to relax. And then when you go back into what is really troubling you, you would be with peace of mind, and then you would be able to tackle the challenges better. I think that's how it has been for me. So, yeah, that's how I would think about it.
So, Mr. Chamaka, now with the AI and everything, how do you think that the education currently has changed?
So much, right? I mean, what do you feel about it? I mean, as an individual who recently graduated, what are your thoughts about it?
I think yes, those days it was all in books, and you'll have to go to a library and do your own research. We
Oh my
of
God.
course we had the
Yes.
Google, but this is like very easy for us to like to get
You're
everything
talking
on
about
fingertips.
Google. I think I'm from the generation where we went to libraries to study. Oh my God, good times, right? But coming back into your question, I think how it has changed. I think it has changed so much, and then the way that we approach it has changed as well. So what it has actually done is that, I mean, there are always good and the bad. I mean, very openly, I'm an individual who always support people using these tools, right? I mean, when you have it
Like
available,
one advice you always tell us is that you can use AI, but know how to use it.
exactly. I mean, just use it. Just go ahead and use it. I mean, it's just there. I mean, and if it's just there, why not use it? Just go ahead. By all means, go ahead. That's what I would say. I mean, that's my general advice all the time. But the bottom line is that, I mean, there is a way that we have to use it as well. That's the thing. Now, if we kind of like go into like real world situations, Shamir, back in the day, I think when we think about this educator learner relationship, it was completely different,
Yeah.
right? Even probably when you started your education and when you ended your education, I think they were in two different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, like for example, those days, if we have like a dumb question to ask from the lecturer, we have to go and ask him. But එක එක්ක එපා අහන්න නැතුව ක්ලාස් එක ඉස්සරහ නිකන් චොර වෙන්න බෑනේ කියලා. But then now with AI, you can actually ask that dumb question
Yeah,
from that
exactly.
and
And then
actually
that
get a
has kind of like
clarification.
democratized, right? So what I believe what it needs to do right now is that, okay, so back in the relationship with the educator and the learner has been different, right? So there has been a bit of a distance. And then what has happened with these AI tools is that now the tools have come in and it has kind of like bridged that distance. So if you really do not get something, or if you really do not understand something, now you have the luxury to open up your phone, and then you have the chance where you can kind of like ask whatever the question you want, and then you get an answer which is customized to what you like, because the tool would know what you
He
like.
knows what type of a person you are.
Exactly. And then these days, you guys were generating all these caricatures and then stuff like that, which reflects what you guys are, which means the tool knows what you are. So the examples and everything would be personalized to you, will be customized to you. And then I think that's what has really made the difference. That's why people use these tools so much. And then as a result of it, I believe the role of the educator has changed as well, right? What I strongly believe is that an educator is no longer a dictator of the syllabus. Dictator in the sense, not from a political sense, but from an education perspective, right? So it's no longer that.
Like you cannot miss the lecture. If you miss the lecture, you will not know this.
I don't think that is the case anymore. I think
Yeah.
it's more like the educator is a supporter, educator is a facilitator, right? So we as educators, we really need to understand, okay, so what does each person require? What interest each individual? And then how do you really cater to those individuals? And then it's not always about kind of like coming into a class and then just dictating a note or just showcasing a set of slides. I don't think that is the case anymore. It's about sharing those experiences, and then it's about kind of like bringing in case studies. It's about kind of like encouraging
Definitely
people to
with case
think.
studies, that matters.
Exactly. I think if we were talking about some of the interactions that we have had, right? I think certain things that you all have liked so much, Is basically the stories, the examples, and then things like that.
That keeps the class engaged also.
Keeps it engaged, and then you all will ask questions, and
And
then
that will never end.
that
The
will
class
never
is
end.
supposed to end at 5, it will go until like
It
6,
will
6.
go, yeah. It will just break the time limit. That's what it is, I guess, and that's the change that it has done. And I think it's a positive change, don't you think? It's a good change. So basically, you don't really have to have the pressures of like completing a set of like topics, subtopics, or anything like that. Of course, you need to do that, but then again, what I'm saying is that you really need not do it in the traditional way. You can do it in a completely well thought out way, and then more practical, and then more example based, more real world integrated. It's more of a conversation, I guess, rather than just somebody just going up on stage and then
Not
just
the one-way conversation.
never. I don't think the future is going to accept that. I think that's how it has changed in the classroom. And then outside the classroom as well, I believe that there's a massive, massive shift, right? Why I would say that is that um, if somebody asks you a question about 10 years back about something that you are not too aware of, right, at work or like in any engagement that you are in, probably about maybe 20, 30 years back, right? So you probably had the excuse to say that, okay, not really aware of this one. Can you say that now? I don't think so.
It's on your fingertips.
It's just here,
Yeah.
right? You can just take it. You have the resources. I mean, the thing is that you don't even have to pay for it, right? So it's available free. You just have to browse through it, and then you can get yourself educated. So now that's why I said that at the start of this discussion that you have to probably have to work hard now,
Everything
right?
is easy.
Because the information is available. There's no excuse now, right? So if you want to do something, the information is available. You have to execute, right?
Those days, it took a long time to gain the information into one place.
Exactly. Now it just takes seconds. Now you have to get it. You have to execute. If you are not executing, that's the point that you will fall behind, right? And then that is where, I mean, just going back into the mid of this podcast, that is where people, I mean, the good will get better and then the bad will become worse, right? So what they would do is that they would use it, right? They would definitely use it, and then they would be quick with execution.
Already with what are they doing with what they are doing right now, adding that also to in.
Exactly. And then I believe that's the difference that AI has made in learning.
Amazing. That's an amazing answer, sir. Also, one last question before we wrap up with the podcast. If you are a 22-year-old today, what is the one technology mindset you must adapt to stay relevant? And also an advice you would like to give to a age 22 again, because this is the age where like they are done with a degree and it's like the start of their career. So for a person like that, what's the advice you will give?
Now I'm starting to realize how long has it been since I've been 22. So, okay, 22-year-old, and if I was
Don't
a
tell the
22-year-old.
audience that you are so old. 'Cause you look
Yeah,
still young.
maybe not so old. I don't know. Anyone can judge. So, 22-year-old, if I was a 22-year-old, right? So, and then what are the technologies that I would focus on if I was 22 now?
Yeah, to adapt and stay relevant with the technological mindset.
Okay. I probably would give you like an answer. Probably you might not expect this. But what I would say is that, okay, if I'm an individual who's comfortable with tech, right? So if I'm 22 right now, I probably am familiar with mobile devices, right? Because at a younger age, I would have already used these things, right? I did not have to be coached to use a computer, right? Trust me for saying this, about 20 years back, there was something called computer classes, Shamil,
I,
if you remember.
we also attended
You also went?
in
Oh,
the
wow,
start.
okay.
I think
Right.
from grade 5 we had
Right. So
we
there
had
was something called
class,
computer classes. So
studies.
now do you really see computer classes? Not really. Nobody really needs to kind of like tell you
Before
to
they
how
come to school itself, they know
they would
everything.
know, right? So there's no computer classes per se, right? So you don't really need to be taught, right? It's intuitive. The computers are intuitive, the devices are intuitive, and then also the technology that will be made in the future. As a person who's coming from the IT industry, the technological innovations that will be coming in the future will be made, and then the innovators will try their level best to make it intuitive to users as much as possible. That's a mindset. You don't need a manual or you don't need a user guide to use any of these technologies, right? It will basically will be very intuitive, right? So if you're looking at a technology, it's a very difficult question because the technology evolves day in, day out. The Google Gemini that you see today will not be the same thing that you would see in the next month, same time, right? So it would have evolved, right? So you need to have a mindset. I believe that you need to have a mindset where you need to keep up with it without stressing yourself too much, right? Don't have too much of FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Because, I mean, true
Because
enough,
you'll
you need
definitely
to.
miss a lot with so many things coming into play.
See, because I mean, about 1 year or 2 year back, we were thinking about this concept called prompt engineering. We were talking about, okay, so for you to get the best result out of an AI, you need to have the right kind of prompt. Now it's still relevant, but
Yeah.
what is happening, what these products will keep on doing is that you don't need to come up with like a lengthy prompt or something
anymore.
like that. It will kind of like now contextualize and it will understand you better going
Your
forward.
language, it gives the output.
Yeah, it will kind of like get that context. So you don't really need to go into like a longer prompt anymore. Still not, but in the future, probably that's what we would see. So, like that, the tech will keep evolving, and then you need to be in a mindset where you have to evolve with it,
Ready to change.
and then you need to be able to unlearn something and then relearn. That's a skill, right? Back in the day, there was this thing called handwriting classes, right? So there was this time where
And dictation. I think that's also no longer.
I don't know about what's going on in schools, but I really don't know whether that happens anymore or not. But then again, one thing that I could remember is that there were these cursing writing lessons, cursive writing. So it's basically like you write, and then there's a certain style that you write, and then there were classes.
The joining letters.
Yeah. So, I mean, at one point, it was a requirement because when you go to universities, like people who can kind of like take down a note
Really
fast will have an advantage. Now, is that a comparative advantage?
You can just put the recording on.
Put the recording,
And
put
you'll
it
have
into an
the
AI,
entire note.
you get the summary. That's it, right? So, I mean, that change is happening faster now. So you have to be able to adapt to that one. I would think it's unlearning and then relearning, right? In 6 months' time, in 1 month time, or even in 1 year, 3 years' time, you can't be a dinosaur who is sitting on the way of people who are coming up with the new ideas and then things like that. If you are a dinosaur, then you're going to be irrelevant very fast. So I think that's a skill that you really need to have as a 22-year-old. If I am a 22-year-old, and then the next thing that I would say is that develop as much human skills as possible, because with this level of technology integration and with this level of device adoption, tech adoption, and then all of these things coming through, I think having this conversation, being able to have a conversation, and then being able to empathize with someone, really understand a person,
The soft skills.
will really, really play a part. And then I believe that is what is mostly missing as well
I think we are losing that
right
little by
now.
little.
I believe that's the case because even right now in education, we've had a phase where we had completely online,
During
right?
COVID.
And all of these things have contributed to it, but we have to adjust one way because it's a new way of learning. But at the same time, we have to figure out ways as to how to keep that human connection going, how to interact. And then those are the skills. This is not me saying, this is what the research saying, including World Economic Forum. Those are the skills, those human skills are the ones that could be in high demand probably in the next phase. I don't know whether I gave you the answer that you were expecting, but
Definitely, yes. Actually, like you said, it was an unexpected answer. So I think most of your, even the viewers, it's a really good. I think I personally I learned a lot out of the classroom today. So thank you so much, Mr. Chamaka, for
problem.
being with us today.
Pleasure
And,
being here. Thanks for having me.
thank you so much, and see you soon. And also, let's see you again on the next episode. Thank you so much.